much for joining and almost Rampage watch along. We're going to watch Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson tear it down live in the main event of Rampage on this stream, but we've got a whole lot of Smackdown to get to. We had CM Punk returning. We have a Charlotte Flair injury that we're unfortunately going to have to get an update from Sean about here. We had a fun little main event, a lot of fresh names in the mix tonight. Lots to talk about with SmackDown. We had those qualifying matches for this tournament. Some good things with stakes on them happening on SmackDown tonight. But we are joined by the dropped hold god himself.
And my hamper, my empty hamper.
And his hamper. I'll tell you what he wasn't doing, hampering anybody in the ring with his unbelievable fluid movements against Shotzi McKenzie. But we are joined
1.5 million views now, I'm told.
Like water through a river. That's what I got to say.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Sean Rossap, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you guys for letting me hop on here. This is one of those episodes where obviously I'm going to show up and talk a little bit about what happened because we have some unique insight on that. Unfortunately, Corey Brennan of Fightful is told that Charlotte's injury is real. If you need some more to back that up, I'm backing it up. And also he reported that JBL would be on tonight's show, which happened. So FightfulSelect.com, best $5 in the business, best $54 a year in the business. It's not just me giving those scoops. If you hate me, now you can subscribe because we got other people.
You can hate Corey too. It's great. Joey Votto home run .gif for Corey too. We love it. We love to see it. We don't love to hear that Charlotte is injured, but just anything beyond the confirmation that she is injured. We were hearing it was her knee. We were hearing it was her neck. Looked like a nasty spot in that match.
Yeah, it happened during the commercial break. I don't know exactly what happened there. I don't know exactly what that is, and I don't want to speculate per se on that. But at least the word that Corey Brennan was getting was that she was hurt, and that's something that I followed up with, and I was told the same. So also, you got Josh Mansfield sending a super chat. You guys can get those in while I'm here. Any news on AJ's return getting nixed for tonight? I've just told he's not hurt right now. That's all I've been told. That's the extent of it. And the OC returned to the road last week. But, I mean, you're going to see a bunch of talent return to the road this month because they're running two house shows every Saturday, Sunday for this holiday tour because it's a big business tour for them. Even if WWE gets rid of the live events, house shows, they're going to do their holiday tour.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very, very important tour to them. So, we got that one. I'm going to work to find out some more news on some people that are absent, though. And I feel like there have been, quite a few people, because I see people saying Isla and Alba. Well, yeah, but they've been at the tapings. Fightful Select has reported them at the tapings every single Friday, just up until this week where Michin just decided I'm tired of fighting them on dark matches, so I need to attack somebody else.
Typical. Cowardly of her, as usual, right?
It had basically been Michin and whoever she could find that could stand her for 8 minutes to team with her against Alba and Isla on the dark matches. But
we had seen them in NXT before too. That doesn't feel injury-y to me. They were around during Halloween Havoc time. We were more like, where are spooky Scottish witches in the Halloween lead up, especially in that tag picture. So my head goes to maybe they're getting repackaged or something, figuring something else out. But
Sean, if you didn't know, I dig spooky witches.
It's true.
It's true. So I've just there's something about spooky witches and Jade and all these big powerful women
even in December, even out of season.
Yeah, man. Just if you want to dress them up in spooky elf clothes, I'm happy to, man. Let's do it. Mix them up. But no, I love them. They're amazing.
They're great. They're a great tag team.
We've got a super chat that I actually have a little bit of info on, but it says, Jay Miller says, I bet Kate is a happy gal after Punk's promo tonight. Not the biggest Punk fan in the world, but the feuds are going to deliver. Support women. Punk, again, this week had no producer listed on his promo, which, once or twice that's, not out of the ordinary, but it's definitely something that I'm monitoring on these live events reports that we get access to. And it's something that I'm going to keep my eye on. And this one was definitely a little more pointed and aggressive because I had people in WWE that had said, yeah, that first one scripted we pretty well knew what he was going to say. We're not expecting any shots at the Young Bucks, but pretty pointed stuff tonight. And then an immediate backstage interaction with Kevin Owens, who I think pretty clearly was one of the guys that was not gung-ho about CM Punk coming in. If you look at a recent interview where he goes, I just want to have fun at work. And then he goes and just sweet talks Randy Orton for 2.5 minutes in the next interview question. And he happens to be a good friend of the Young Bucks as well. So
I can give insight into what that Kate girl thought, and she thought this was much, 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 much better than Monday. He sounded like a person again. He sounded like himself. He didn't really say a whole heck of a lot from the perspective of what he's actually going to be doing next, but I don't think that was the intent of the promo. But we got plenty of time to talk about that down the road.
Well, we do have some more super chats. Rock Hard Joel Wood says, any news on how Punk and KO interacted backstage? I will be finding that out. That is going to be something that I dig into, but Kevin Owens is a professional. He does not cause any problems. And CM Punk, I mean, honestly, he made light of the fact that he does do that stuff. I mean, you can't undo that. Those are real things that he did and happened. But I said this on, I think it was the Q&A show today. What we've seen out of CM Punk so far and the lack of reaction, so to speak, from the roster is a best case scenario for WWE. Nobody asked for their releases. Nobody raised a big stink that I know of. There are plenty of people that have told me, don't like the guy. But you know what? You're not always going to like the people that you work with. That's just the nature of
Tell
that.
me about it.
Oh, brother.
But
I had people asking. I had people asking about Seth Rollins. They're like, well, what does WWE think? It's like, what can they think about what he's saying in interviews? The very fact that he's saying fences can be mended very clearly isn't necessarily a work thing from Seth Rollins, or else he'd be saying, no, these fences cannot be mended. That way he could work his angle. But the very fact that he's saying, you know what? They can be mended. And he brought up the Colt Cabana stuff. He brought up a lot of that. And I don't know exactly where this happened because Seth Rollins has been like, in the past, he said, I would work with him, et cetera, et cetera. But also, let's not forget that once upon a time, CM Punk did an interview and said, I'll go to PWG and wrestle the Young Bucks if I want to. So things change, people change. KE775 says, do you think Punk is at Deadline tomorrow? Corey Brennan is actually checking on that. But I think it would make sense, guys, if he is there, because I actually love what Punk did in putting over the one guy who publicly put him over from WWE in recent months, and that's Shawn Michaels. Because Shawn Michaels says, I would love CM Punk to be back. So I think it was kind of cool that he name dropped him tonight.
Also, shout out to Shawn Michaels for saying that Punk left on his own terms.
Yes.
Adorable. This is a really good question. Will saying, SRS, how much money we need to put in so you will fight Mia Yim? Very encouraged by the Punk promo today, but this is the real question that I want the answer to.
So I don't want to make my thing guy that wrestles women. I've wrestled one woman ever outside of Denise throwing me over the top rope, but Mia Yim has a contract. So that's not going to happen. That isn't going to happen.
You wouldn't sign with WWE, even though we're on both companies' payrolls anyway? That's so weird.
Shoot.
I'll say this. I'll say this sincerely. The amount of money WWE would have to give me or any wrestling company to sign with them to leave Fightful is so ridiculous that they would never consider it. That's how much I enjoy working at Fightful.
I got this check right here.
came in to Alex from Tony Khan and Triple H, depending on what week it was.
It said Khan and Khan.
That's it. Yeah, they're in business together. That robot saying, more. Hi, best post show, Sean. Awesome match. Love to see the support there. Hi, Sean. Awesome match with Shaza. Please ask Bobby to get Kate a suit. Please, Bobby Lashley, send me a suit. I will run this into the ground as I already have. Do you think there's any chance we get Seth and Becky versus CM Punk and AJ Lee? Oh. Love you all. Now, that sounds like a whole mess of fun, but Seth and Becky are also in a contract year. answer this question, but do you have any thoughts or any indications on whether they would jump ship to AEW?
So I will say this, nothing reputable has been reported about Seth yet, as I discover on the back end of a show I'm not producing that you can unstar super chats. I did not know that was a thing until right now, as I watch you doing this live. But I mean, to be honest with you, if the money's right and the creative's right, possibly, because I think they could get a really, really great offer from AEW. If I were AEW, I would prioritize those two.
Sure.
I would allocate $10 million for the two of them is what I would do. I would allocate $10 million in 2 buses.
This came up in my brain because them backing off of Mercedes made me wonder if they are potentially trying to reallocate some budget to them, and them now having a family, right? Having a baby in the picture. Maybe they want a different workload as far as travel schedule goes. Becky's accomplished about everything you can in WWE. I'd argue Seth has done the same. So I think they're going to get paid wherever they go, but that kind of popped up to my head. Ian Riccaboni, not really Ian Riccaboni, that's just what we call him around here. So FYI, I'm sending this from Rampage. Well, we hope you're having fun at Rampage. What
little backstage news from that. An official in AEW couldn't imagine who told Righteous Reg and Phil Lindsay that Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia tonight is real mother effing graps. That was on FightfulSelect.com today. As was more detail about Bryan Danielson fining people. Now, it is so funny because I had people on the Q&A say, well, how mad are people backstage? Not at all. It's his job. They're not mad about it. They're not mad whatsoever. You can't be mad at Bryan Danielson, but I got to say, it is hilarious to see that now Bryan Danielson has to actually log into his own Twitter.
That was definitely Brie. You can't convince me otherwise. I don't have that on any authority, but I'm sure you were referring to Jerry Lynn when you were talking about that official.
I can tell you, I know that his manager had access to his Twitter because I hit him up for an interview for WrestleCade, and I got his manager, and we were like, yeah, maybe we'll do this interview. And unfortunately, he couldn't do WrestleCade. But now he's saying, watch Rampage tonight or I'm fining all of you. And I find that hilarious that he is embracing the situation.
To throw something out there for you too as well, I was a mail carrier right after the Marine Corps. I thought, hey, it pays and my years roll over, right? It's union. Mm-hmm. That's how unions work. Your people that are working with you
get a rep.
You get a rep that goes up against management and whatever else happens inside that place. Some of the decisions you're not going to like that your rep makes, but he's there to help you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people who don't understand that online, when you put out that article, it's just, nonsense.
And it's important because they don't have a union or a players association. I remember when my wife was a nurse aide at a nursing home, and they weren't union, they weren't associated, anything like that. And they would be told, oh, nurse aides are a dime a dozen. Then they would be told, somebody called in, you're working a 16-hour shift.
Right.
They didn't have a rep to go and say, you know what? It's not safe for us. It's not safe for the residents to be working this period. AEW does at least have that rep. And there are a whole lot of people that say wrestlers shouldn't be involved in XXX. I agree in some senses, but it is also important to have somebody that is in the trenches sort of doing that. And Bryan Danielson is as one person told me, an appropriate moral compass within the company to do that. So
now, normally I would agree with you, but we also have to think about the clams, and we all know Bryan Danielson is the biggest clam digger in the whole wide world.
Whoa, what is happening?
Nigel McGuinness is what's happening.
I know.
We get a wonderful chat from Orion Ben who says, I tried Mirror Alex with the spooky witches for the troops, but they unfortunately weren't on this episode. Sorry. Hi, Kate. Congrats on not getting fined. Yes. With the Danielson tweet, I tweeted I'm just here so I don't get fined Marshall and Lynch give. But SRS, good showing with Alex, Frank, and Reg. That was fun.
Yeah, we did promo wars on Denise Salcedo's channel, and
beautiful.
I'm just saying, Alex Queen of the Ring only won because she got a sex phone gimmick. My promo was better. But
I think
you beat
I beat Alex, which transitive property means that I'm better than you.
And you know it.
Tata Shiori, I hope I said that right. So what do you think of the Endeavor streaming signing up TNA? Now, this is an interesting one too, and I'm glad that Sean's here to talk about it because I don't really have insight to this. I imagine this would be something that's good for you and Jimmy to talk about on Hump as well.
Yeah, I'm gathering some more information on this, but it's not a confusion of the name. Endeavor Media, like they do run this. This is their operation. I'm going to find out a little bit more about this because it is interesting, but this is something that I brought up numerous times. On the investor call for TKO, they recently noted, well, we've got ESPN that airs PFL and UFC, and we are completely fine with them doing that. So whatever makes them money is what they want to do.
Yes.
And listen, if maybe one day down the line they can say, you know what, we'd really like that library. Can we work out a deal? There are a few video libraries on the market that would be more valuable than a TNA video library at this point, 20 plus years, contrary to what their Pluto channel would let you know when they just play the same shit over and over every day.
But their social media channels will let you know in a hurry.
Yeah.
Unreal. Garrett Kidney is insane.
I mean,
Insane.
The catalogs must be so chopped up. I say good luck in their future endeavor. A couple more chats back to back. Sean, do you know? I know, and I love it, but it's making us money. So quit your whited over there. But some back-to-back questions. Do you know what's up with the Andrade stuff and any news on AOP? Let's get those knocked out together.
Last I heard, his deal with AEW was supposed to go into 2024, like the summer, and I think that he had some time added to it. But listen, if you're talking about a guy who's been in multiple fights backstage as well, I could see them being like, all right, you don't like it here? Hit the bricks. They don't use him in a manner in which they necessarily need to keep him. If I were, and I had seen the thing that Lucha Blog had posted about, I think CMLL. I could see them being like, you know what, we play nice with CMLL. If you want to go there anywhere but WWE, that's fine. One of the things, like when people were giving me flack about conditional release of a certain talent last year, basically what I was told was, yeah, you can go home. You can get your mental health care. We'll pay for it. We'll pay for you to be at home. And then we won't pick up your option years, but we ain't letting you go to WWE. Like, we're not just going to let you stroll through that door, but you can go do indies. You can sit at home, et cetera, get well, anything you need. Yeah. I don't know if it could be something like that. That's speculation. So if you are a Twitter account looking to get engagement, don't aggregate that. It's me speculating, but
yeah, but I do want to say this. A video was posted from a fan on Threads, and Charlotte looks bad. Like she's just like trying to catch her breath, and
she got carried out.
That sucks.
Yeah, she does not look good at all as she's sitting there.
It's a tough
hope all is well.
Couple more chats, guys. Feel free to keep those coming. We like talking Smackdown, but we like answering your questions here as well when Sean's around. So what's up with the Karrion Kross lack of push? Now, we did see Karrion Kross come back tonight. He looked like he was in more traditional wrestling gear. Scarlett looks like she was in a very attractive outfit, but looked like they were more operating in the same universe. Kind of weird that they came back to a loss here. We do know that AJ was nixed from tonight. It sounds like they kind of could pick that up where they left off, but kind of odd to bring him back to a loss, but he never really has had his footing under him. I wonder if they're just trying to establish him before they get to that push.
Quite possibly. I don't think that Karrion Kross really knew what even he was doing a week or two ago. I mean, I know that they had pitched something where he was going to appear on screen with Shotzi and Scarlett, but it got scrapped really early in the day. I wish I knew. I do think that maybe so his presentation is so much better as he and Scarlett, but I also think that if he were in a tag team, it'd be like almost like the Waller Theory thing where separately I was like, all right. But as a tag team, I'm like, okay, I really like these guys. I just don't know who that person would be. Maybe Corbin down the line could be a nice fit with him, especially considering they both have actual grappling shoot backgrounds as well. Yeah. But I don't think he even knew.
I I thought maybe the Mia Yim stuff with all the main event matches was leading to Karrion, Kross, Scarlett, and our spooky Scottish witches, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, against this kind of reformed Bullet Club clique deal that we have over there. But it doesn't seem like that's where it went. So my guess is they're just trying to get him cemented into something that clicks in before they are pushing him. When do you think Punk wrestles is something that we got asked here by KE775.
If it's not the Royal Rumble, like, I'm going to look at the upcoming, because dude's going to Raw, I would imagine. Like, why would they have him show up on Raw?
Yeah. Pulaski was like, if he doesn't, they should fire Adam Pearce and kayfabe because he lost Randy Orton and CM Punk and back
what
to
a
back.
like what a dick he would be.
So rude.
He showed up on Raw and he said,
I'm going to Raw.
and I've made my decision. You can see me tomorrow night
on SmackDown.
Yeah, no, he'll be like, I'm joining NXT.
Oh God.
But like as I like, WWE doesn't need help selling tickets to Raw is the thing.
Dude,
like
it's crazy.
They're doing really, really good with ticket sales, but I could see them the first Monday that doesn't have Monday Night Football in January, them being like, all right, you want to watch CM Punk wrestle? Don't forget we got this show on Monday nights called WWE Raw. Why don't you tune in? That's what I'd do if I were them.
Andrade chooses Money or Charlotte. I think Money and Charlotte are in the same place.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But she's getting paid.
Rockhard Joel Wood saying long shot, but do you think Endeavor streaming thing with TNA could lead to something with TNA and WWE in the future? Now, they don't tend to acknowledge their own universe with NXT even that much. They are getting much better as Triple H has retaken over here, but they kind of try to keep those worlds separate from what I remember, even when they had, indies that were under their affiliation or anything like that. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's possible, but I think it's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. WWE likes to do their own thing. I mean, even them bringing Mickie James over while she wasn't under contract. I know that a lot of people made a big deal out of that. She was a free agent. She can do whatever she wants, but they had the belt there, of which Vince tried to get her to not take to the ring, by the way. But yeah, I don't think that we're going to see really anything emerge from that. I don't.
So we do have one kind of sadder news to close out the chats that we've gotten with here, which was a Humper chat that came in that says, won't be able to join live, but some sad news to share. Shotzi's sister, Shawnee's liver cancer came back. When we shared her GoFundMe in the summer, y'all really showed up. So I'm hoping we can do that again. Thanks in advance. I will post that in the comments. And Luis, if you can pin that comment, that would be awesome so that it's at the top of this stream. But obviously our thoughts go out to Shotzi and her family. We hope that just healing thoughts go their way. And if you guys are able to contribute to that GoFundMe, please do so. We would really appreciate it.
For sure.
If Shotzi's family is anything like she is, I can tell you she is just a wonderfully sweet woman. Nothing but positive interactions with her. So I mean, and the fact that she did what she did to, help make her sister more comfortable, I thought was really, really, really nice. And it says a lot about her. But yeah, please support that if you guys can. You know that any cause like that, we are happy to promote. So if you ever see anything like that, just send it our way and we'll do our best to get the word out, guys.
Absolutely. Well, Sean, I think that's all the chats that we have. We've got a lot going on this weekend. We've got Deadline post show for you tomorrow. We've got the Collision post show for you. We've got Impact's Final Resolution for you. So much happening this weekend. Stay
bunch
tuned
of stuff for me to not pay attention to.
Yeah, a ton of stuff for you to ignore while we are out here for the love of the game, Sean. Okay.
Final Resolution is the final date on Deonna Purrazzo's Impact contract.
Interesting. Might I find out some updates on FightfulSelect.com? Should you get any? I don't know. Maybe subscribe.
You might. Also, something I want to promote ahead of time. Next Sunday, not this upcoming Sunday, next Sunday, December 17th at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're doing the Fightful Holiday stream, which has no format, no plan, but all of the super chats and humper chats go directly to our staff as a Christmas bonus. I don't keep any of that. Jimmy doesn't keep any of that. the numerous staff that we have will all get that, and they are all welcome to join throughout the evening. We have talked Denise into singing Christmas songs in the past. Alex uncharacteristically, thematic for the holidays on those, like
guy wrapped in Christmas lights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've seen him. He's just
Yeah.
a walking Christmas tree.
The Christmas stream is something my mom tuned into. She was very confused as to why you were talking about Denise taking big fat S words, and got a huge crush on Will Washington that day. And she's
really?
never recovered.
So I'm sure that you guys will remember this. I've told you about the notes app that I have where I just put insane ideas in there.
Correct, yes.
I also had skit ideas because I wanted to do Welcome to Fightful vignettes, like the This is Sports Center vignettes, where it's like around the office. And one of them I found, because I'm still going to do them, but I can't do this one anymore. I had the idea from Rush Hour 1, where the little girl is in the limo singing Mariah Carey Fantasy while the two drivers are up front. I wanted that to be Will Washington in the back of the vehicle while me and Denise were up front. And we don't get to do that. We won't ever get to do that. So that's very unfortunate. But guys, thanks for letting me stop by. I always enjoy derailing your show. The drop toe hold God. Listen, I said this to Matt Cardona, and I'll say this to everybody else. You have never had your toe dropped nor held, the likes of which I am capable of. And I'm just saying, we did a full podcast. The Fightful Tells All series continues with myself and Shaza last night. A former WrestleMania main eventer reached out to me and said, that was a good goddamn drop toe hold. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
It warmed our hearts. Before you go,
It
though,
did.
I didn't know people got paid here. No, just kidding.
See ya.
Good stuff always when Sean joins. Thank you so much for all of the support. We are going to get into our regular rhythm now that Sean has finally left. Now, I did want to try and keep an eye on that Danielson and Garcia match because it's real effing graps, as we were told. So I am going to play this stream. I'm going to mute this stream more importantly, but we are going to get into SmackDown. Thank you so much for your support tonight. We had so much of it up front while Sean was here. So let's dive in. Now, we do start with a match that, to be honest, I didn't really feel like either time that we've seen this has gotten out of the gear that I was expecting it to. It was Santos Escobar versus Dragon Lee. Now, there's nothing wrong with this match by any means, but it was something that I had very high expectations of. Dominic was out there. I was very relieved he didn't interfere. Just feels like on the pay-per-view and where we saw it here, didn't get the chance to pop off in the way that I was hoping it to, but you have Santos Escobar winning with the Phantom Driver, which is absolutely the right call. Dominic enters the ring here, standing tall over Lee. They're going to have a match at Deadline tomorrow. Kind of feels like Dragon Lee is stalled out, and I feel like maybe that's in part due to the Rey Mysterio injury, but I'm wondering if Dominic loses tomorrow and they strap Santos up to give him little extra life in this angle. If not, I'm sure Santos comes and costs him. But Santos going over on this. Now, both are fantastic wrestlers, and both of them looked great in this. Just never seemed to get to the level that I was expecting it to. Not because anything was wrong with it. Maybe I just felt like it needed more time or something, because they're both fantastic. Very, very well could be that my expectations were super high because they're so fantastic. But this is what we opened the show with. We also have JBL on commentary, who's there because he pioneered Tribute of the Troops a little bit. A nice nod to that. What were your thoughts on our opening match here?
Latinos.
That's
Hot
what's
way
up.
to taking a page right out of Eric Bischoff's book from the early 90s. You put these hot wrestlers up front to warm up your crowd and get them all hot and bothered. And it sometimes works, and sometimes it's just medium heat. You're right. I don't know, for whatever reason, it's not hitting that extra oomph level. There was some crazy spots that I thought that were really well done. And again, I praise whatever Triple H is doing with the guys and letting them go out there and be who they are. Santos looks incredible. He looks like a freaking G. The long hair, the crop top shirt, like he looks and feels like a bad guy. You know, he reminds me a lot of Scott Hall. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Scott Hall. Scott Hall would come out with the long hair, the crop top, and that like attitude that Santos is coming out to. You know, Dragon Lee to me has just been a little bit cooled down. Like and I guess because I'm used to the Dragon Lee that I've watched in the past. So this Dragon Lee to me just kind of seems a little tame for whatever reason, safety, whatever. I don't know what it is, but yeah. And again, whatever they're planning to do with Santos, I'm hoping that is going to be big. And I hope that they don't do the old stop and start again with him.
Yeah, my guess is that we are derailed from Ray having surgery, and hopefully they'll figure out a way to reroute him soon. Now, unfortunately, the reason we're getting this match in NXT tomorrow is because Wes Lee is unfortunately injured. So that set up this Dragon Lee Dominic Mysterio thing. I think he could really, really, really use the win. He's already lost to Dominic twice. I don't know why you would bury him against Dominic otherwise. So hopefully that is the case. Guys, thanks for getting us going with your super chats early. Feel so out of rhythm because I didn't even get to do my get in your super chats, get in your humper chats, subscribe to FightfulSelect.com opening. I didn't even get to say that wrestling is for everyone and Fightful is for everyone. We just kind of dove right in here on SmackDown, but do please leave a thumbs up on this video if you would be so kind. It helps people find us in the algorithm as well. So we move along. That was one of your U.S. title contender tournament qualifiers as well. So you're going to have Santos Escobar moving on, which is great. And then we get what I thought was a really fun little segment kind of right away here. We have Nick Aldis backstage with Randy Orton as he walks in. Orton asks Aldis why Aldis would book his tag match for later. And he says he barely even knows who LA Knight is, which I liked that. He's alluding to the fact that he's been injured during LA Knight's basically his entire rise and run, like post all the Maximum Male Model stuff. Like LA Knight, the white hot baby face, is something that Randy Orton has never shared a locker room with. So I really, really liked that he put that button on it. And Aldis said all Orton needed to know was that both Orton and Knight want to fight the Bloodline, and that should kind of be enough. Orton was fined in storyline last week, and Orton shows up to pay $100,000 of his $50,000. It kind of just casually goes, "Oh no, that's for next time." When Aldis points out that he doubled what he paid,
amazing,
which I thought was so much fun. And it's always nice to see a babyface who has some teeth like that too. Like that's just something I really, really appreciate. So I thought that was a fun little segment. Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, I like that. And when exactly that, I was looking at the check in his hand. I'm like, what is that? And all of a sudden he's like, hey, you made this up. I'm like, okay, that's a pop moment right there. Good stuff, Randy. You're just setting yourself up to just beat the crap out of somebody again.
Yeah, he's definitely going after Solo Sikoa again, I think, but some really, really fun stuff there. And I just love that Orton, he just always has this incredibly cool demeanor about him. And it's very fun when he like when those comedic beats hit with him, they're very, very funny because he doesn't really deviate in volume or tone all that much. So when they hit really well. We move along. We're moving quickly in this little episode because we got some nice time and some nice work in these segments, which was good. So we can kind of fly through some of them. We get this Cody Rhodes promo. Now, we are on stream with Yvette, so thank you very much, Alex, for your service as we're here with our Tributes to the Troop video package, which was very moving. I thought the tributes tonight were much more authentic. Like, this wasn't politician Cody coming out as much with the overkill and the talking about his dad. Like, this was a little bit more grounded, which was good because it was for something that's very sincere. They threw it to a beautiful tribute package. They had the Army Drill Squad there doing an incredible thing that I would hit myself in the face with the rifle. And
well, the drill team is pretty freaking dope. The Marine Corps drill team is even better. I'm not saying, because it's Army and whatever,
but they did a really, really, really cool job. I could have used without 600 replays of the same country song,
dude,
but
yeah.
The Lashley vignette right before his match I thought was really nice. Like it just seemed a little bit more authentic in more of a tribute rather than like a showboating showcase, as sometimes it can feel. I appreciate that they always do it, but this just had a little bit more emotional appeal tonight, I felt like. But I'm just a white girl sitting at home. Alex, you've actually served. What were your thoughts on the incorporations that we got with the tribute to the troops tonight?
I made a comment before that, it used to be like its own standalone show. They used to pre-tape it, and I think it was like on a Wednesday on holiday week. I don't know if you guys remember that far back. WWE used to have like a whole week dedicated to the holidays. I thought it was done well. I like the live aspect of it. I like that, they had the crowd filled with a lot of the cadets and Army, Navy, Marine Corps, everyone in there, so it was nice. I'm not very familiar with the two singers that did the national anthem, but they did an incredible job. And one thing, and it's not even a complaint, I'm just like, it's funny that they always use country music.
Yeah.
always without a doubt, they always use country music for the vignettes, the videos, and everything that has to do with America on WWE, which is fine with me, but like I'd like a little change in pace sometime.
Sure. I don't blame you. I was just not even that it's always country music, but that it's always over and over and over again, like is the same song starting from the same spot every time. I was like, we could just like pick up somewhere else.
I like the vignettes of them. I remember being in and seeing WWE come in for the very first time 21 years ago, to Iraq and stuff like that. So it was pretty surreal and pretty crazy to kind of see those pictures that they had up, because I remember those things vividly at that time. And WWE being the one thing that kind of kept you away. And I remember even back then thinking, damn, WCW's gone. What are we going to do? And just kind of seeing, that was a big WCW mark. So kind of like seeing WWE come out there and do their thing. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I no complaints. I think it was tastefully done today.
I think so too. Will saying that when Randy said that's for next time, it reminded me of my older brother who would tell me he's getting his back, but didn't want to tell me when. That is kind of what that feeling was like.
Pretty much.
I liked that it was to an authority figure. Guys, I really wanted to do the Rampage watch along aspect with this, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do both with us getting such a late start. And I don't want to test my internet. You guys have seen what that has.
I was going to ask you that. Oh, did you upgrade? Because you're really like, you were on. I was like, let's go.
I am at a spot in my apartment that agrees with my internet more than it doesn't. So I am not moving literally anything ever again until that gets straightened out, which hopefully someday it will. Now we move on to the only thing that kind of confused me about the night, which was Karrion Kross versus Bobby Lashley. Now, the right guy won with Bobby Lashley, but I have a couple of questions, and surprisingly, none of them have to do with me getting a suit. Now, I'm hoping the fact that he was just in ring gear wrestling tonight means he's like, hey, I got you. The suit is on its way. I don't even have to be wearing one on screen. I can only assume that that's what that would mean, but a couple of things that were a little off about this. Felt like Bobby Lashley was working face here with no explanation or character change. Kind of odd, because Kross isn't a face, and maybe it was just because Lashley was so over, but this just felt weird to me. We do get Kross coming out with Scarlett. Scarlett is not ugly, respectfully. She's a gorgeous, gorgeous woman. She is not in kind of her intergalactic wardrobe, but she's not in like her spooky hot witch getup. She's in a more normal outfit, as is Karrion Kross, but they're still doing the black and white thing. They still have the old theme. So I'm a little confused about what the presentation is for them.
Sure.
Decent enough match. Bobby Lashley particularly looks great in this, but it was just kind of funny that he was seemingly working face here. Lashley running at Kross, but Kross getting a knee up, which I liked. But even so, Bobby Lashley coming right back, slamming Kross before hitting a nasty looking spear. Only thing I didn't love about this was like Kross got the knees up and had it scouted the first time, but not the second time when Lashley was already compromised, is kind of odd. But I'll tell you what I am looking forward to, and that's Bobby Lashley and Santos Escobar in the next round of this tournament. That should be a whole lot of fun, but this was just actually fine in the ring. I think one of Kross's better matches in the ring, but creatively just was a little confusing for me. Alex, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I was wondering why Karrion Kross was out there facing Bobby. I didn't know where they were going with this. In my mind, I already knew that Bobby Lashley was going to win. I don't think, especially being a vet, he wasn't going to lose in front of that crowd. And that kind of was a dead giveaway when I saw that he was going to be on the card
Sure.
tonight to face poor Killer Kross, Karrion Kross, whatever you want to call him, Spooky Kross, BDSM Kross. He has many names.
He does.
I'm trying to figure out where he fits best. Karrion Kross to me does not fit pretty much anywhere right now there. None of the stories are really like based anything that he can get himself into. He seems like an outlier, someone who's just around and just trying to figure things out. So it sucks because he's such a presence. And I wish he was like just murder hawking people. You know?
Sure. I think what's tricky is we don't really have anybody that feels like a good counter to him because I just don't know what world he's in. Like today he was back in more traditional gear and Scarlett was in a more traditional outfit, but they were still in black and white with that music. So I'm not sure where he fits in because I don't know what they're trying to tell us he is right now.
Right.
And that might be a yet. He just came back. I don't need to see him with AJ Styles again if that's the direction they were going. Like that was already run into the ground enough. I'm a little confused, but the times I saw Karrion Kross on the Indies, he was great, and he was just like a machine, and he just came out like a badass motorcyclist, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd say ship him back down to let him do some stuff at NXT then. Just beat up some people, kind of rebuild that confidence, rebuild that character a little bit, you know? They've done it with everyone else. Everyone else is going down there and doing things, you know? Little Karrion Kross just kind of just like, you know, there's people that are going to come up. So why not have a veteran down there, you know, kind of doing, which kind of sucks because then you start thinking about the fact that they brought him back.
Right.
You know, and we know his story of what he was planning to do. It's public. He was going to start something with Freddie and his federation. And, you know, he called Freddie and Freddie was like, go make your money, you know, go be a champ, go be a champ, like go do your thing. And unfortunately, the bag has made sense. But if you're going to complain about making a bag and not doing anything, sucks to be you. But I mean, like, we as fans want to see him out there, and I'm pretty sure he himself, you know, he would like to be out there. Actors have all that, right? Actors want to be in front of television.
Just even the clarity around what he's doing there is odd. Like the presentation seems mixed, and to come back to lose to Bobby Lashley feels like an odd call. But Broadway Joe saying seems like Bobby is having his own little LA Knight moment where the crowd is turning him into the face. Kross should go back to his Impact roots, hired gun. Hired gun might be fun. Like him almost in the role that Bronson Reed was initially could be something that's really, really cool, like mercenary Kross. Bobby Lashley, having served, I think, was probably part of the reason he was so over tonight, which is awesome. But he was also very over in Brooklyn, too, which was why I was like, are we getting something consistent here? But probably knew he was going to be over in front of this crowd, and that's probably why the Street Profits weren't with him at the same time. So
correct.
I like both, but like, give me heel Bobby Lashley because just
also kind of keeping people outside of the of interfering in this tournament would be a great thing. Kind of keep it, you know, a little bit pure, you know, just let it be done in the ring. I know we had Dominic come in and be ringside, but he didn't do anything, which was great.
Yeah,
you
that was
know,
refreshing.
Like, so it was cool to kind of see the Street Profits not even be there until the very end. So it was cool.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, get in your super chats and your humper chats as we move along here. We do have a little AEW Rampage recap for you tonight. The international title was Orange Cassidy versus Angelico. Now, this was great to see because this is something that got set up on Ring of Honor and carried over to Rampage and made sense, which is refreshing if you've been watching Ring of Honor every week and it's a program that's made mostly no sense. Very cool to see. Very cool to see Angelico getting reps. And by the way, his name's Angelico. And he is the one who said it like that. So I can stop trying to sound like I'm not white. I don't have to say Angelico.
Angelico. I'll be the voice for you.
But he said his name was Angelico, so I feel good. And
I
that
say it different than you.
way.
I say Angelico, like
Angelico.
I do opposite of what you're trying to do with Spanish.
Angelico.
Angelico, dude.
We had Abaddon defeating Trisha Dora. Nice to see the incredible Trisha Dora. No bigs. I have an interview with her up on Fightful.com.
You're on fire, girl. You know what I'm saying? Somebody give me some water to put you out. Hold on.
Thank you. Abaddon defeating Trisha Dora. Nice victory for them. Love to see that. And Julia confronting Abaddon and teasing that CBS title bout. I am still in the Alex Pulowski camp of that Julia should absorb Abaddon into a House of Hearts stable. Video package for Mercedes Martinez and Willow, which is awesome to see. Hobbs and Takeshita defeat Daniels and Seidel, which is probably a match that is superfluous but fun. Top Action accepted Penta's 1-2-3 challenge for a future date. Well, okay. And Danielson defeating Garcia in what was a fan-effing-tastic match. Luis says, I have heard from people within the industry that have said, out of all the great Daniel Garcia matches that we've seen, this is the best one of his career. So please, please, please seek it out, because great art. Absolutely freaking
I don't know what's going on with listen, I'm not a marketer. I don't work for any company. I don't know what's going on with people showing up at these events or whatever, but damn, they are putting on some good television and some really good things. Like, they're trying to find themselves, which is great.
I love this. Tech-tastic. Look, it's for the techers. If there's Continental Classic Tournament is for anyone, it's for fans of technical wrestling. Okay. Absolutely love to see that, but I do feel like it's been such a great shot in the arm for the product. Like, it desperately needed something like this. It feels really good to have stuff to tune in that's consequential in every program, and it ahead of time. I absolutely love that. And it's just been world-class, high work rate matches. Banger after banger. You love to see it. It's really refreshing, and it feels like the roots that AEW was founded on.
Totally.
It's created some really, really, really interesting character arcs and stories coming out of it. Like, I even look at something as inconsequential as Roosh and Mox, and I'm like, are we going to get an LFI versus Blackpool Combat Club feud? Because I want to see that. I look at Mark Briscoe having great matches but losing out, and the only match that he has left is Jay Lethal, probably. There's tons of ROH history in that, like, between the two of them. So I feel like even the throwaways have been really high quality matches and could lead to something story-wise, consequentially, that's going to be really, really healthy. So for next week, we have an NXT wrestler to be named later. Please be Tyler Bate versus Grayson Waller. And we have Kevin Owens versus Austin Theory in the U.S. tourney title picture. Plus, you got Roman Reigns coming back. So that is all good stuff there. Now, I do appreciate that they're rotating newsworthy stuff, right? You had Orton show up. You have Punk show up today. You're going to have Reigns show up next week. There's a really healthy rotation. I would not be surprised if after that, the big thing is what happens with Damage Control and Bayley. We do have a vignette here, or not a vignette, rather, a backstage where Damage Control is shown backstage, and Asuka hesitantly gives Bayley a high five, and Bayley says she stayed in the back and wanted to know and noted how Charlotte and Asuka is a WrestleMania rematch, and Dakota Kai steps in and says they would accompany Asuka to the ring, and Bayley stays back. So the dissension continuing. I feel like they're letting it burn at an appropriate pace. It feels like they would have rushed it if it happened at Survivor Series. They're going to drag it out if it goes to Royal Rumble. I don't think it is. I think they're really doing a great job with every beat of this story. Any thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you. Let it slow burn. I like what's happening right now. I'm into it. I'm buying in, and I think that a lot of the problem with WWE, a lot of the stories just get rushed or dismissed
or dragged out. It's one or the other. Yeah. It's like 9 million rematches for no reason.
Yes, right. The rematches and stuff like that. But this, This is an actual story. So it reminds me a lot of what was happening with the Bloodline. It was less in-ring stuff and more of the cinematic stuff of what was happening, like the dissension between the group and whatnot. So I think like I want to see a little bit more of that. And then let that big blow off happen. Because when it does, especially if Charlotte now is, God forbid, injured for a while, it could be very simple, just a sprain and she's back next week. But if she was in the mix to do something with Bayley, now you're talking about how
time to pivot. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, we get to what was kind of the big news of the evening, and boy, oh boy, did I need this from who was my favorite wrestler, CM Punk. And he was out here making sure that nobody on this roster felt safe. But if you want to feel like your stream is safe, if you want to feel like all your devices that use your internet connections are safe, well, you can skip over the letters CM PUNK and go right to NORDVPN, because we've got the deal of the century for you. Okay, a Black Friday special. Not really, this is the same special we give all year round, but pounce on it anyway. NordVPN, best VPN in the game. Huge discount with the code FIGHTFUL, and Sean Ross Sapp is here to tell you all about it.
I'm traveling a lot, and when you travel, you got to protect your data. You got to protect your privacy online. NordVPN.com/Fightful allows me to do that, allows me to browse safely and securely. When you go to an airport, when you go to an arena, a restaurant, a hotel, you're usually connecting to that unsecured Wi-Fi, which leaves you susceptible to having your data stolen, any number of things taken from your private connection, or what should be your private connection. NordVPN.com/Fightful makes it a private connection with the fastest VPN in the world, a 30-day money-back guarantee, and a ton of other features in addition to that peace of mind that you get when you can browse safely and securely. And I'm talking all your devices: Surface Pro, laptop, desktop, PC, smart TV, router, phone, whatever you're taking with you. NordVPN.com/Fightful will add extra layers of security to your digital life. You can get a password manager, a file encryption tool. Be safe, be smart. NordVPN.com/Fightful.
Yes.
That's what's up. NordVPN.com, code FIGHTFUL. If you can't trust the god of drop toe holds, who can you trust? Okay. We are sincerely extremely proud of Sean and his match with Shaza. What he didn't mention, because he's a humble dude at the top of the broadcast, that he has mentioned online, is he also raised $6,500 for NAMI, a fantastic organization. Beautiful. Go check them out if you haven't. NAMI.org, NAMI.org. Something that Sean has spoken openly about, needing their resources, using their resources, friends using their resources. They're a fantastic organization, all for mental health. So in addition to saving the clams, make sure that you go to NAMI.org
I don't know,
and support where you can. Will say, Kate, your bratty white girl voice is too good. There's a reason for that. Makes me think you made fun of those girls back in high school. So that part is wrong. I was very much the girl that got made fun of at school.
No, you weren't. Stop.
Yeah.
You're so humble.
Hi. Yeah, no, I do wrestling podcasts. If you think that meant I came from a really cool childhood.
What does that mean? Like, we're in 2028. Like, come on now.
We're 2028. It's a Ric Flair timeline, getting your years confused over there.
This is normal stuff. Hey, how dare you?
Unlike Nikita Lyons, who's a rock star, but tongue's black. Look, Nikita, yeah, it's not my place to speak on anything to do with appropriating black culture, but if it's making me uncomfortable as a white gal, I can't imagine. Now, Will saying, I do love the canon of Dakota understanding Japanese because she wrestled in Japan and Bayley didn't. Yes. Some really, really nice touches with that. And I just like that. I know there's a lot of conversation about like people shouldn't be all grouped together just because of their ethnicity, right? But that's a badass stable regardless of what ethnicity they are. Like Asuka being like a powerful, forceful, striking, suplexing goddess. Io with her aerial moves that also hits really hard. Kyrie with her insane elbow. Like that's just a great mix of different wrestlers to have in one stable. And Dakota being this pivot element is so interesting from a story standpoint, because if they're too cruel to Bayley, I could see her flipping to Bayley's side and maybe they're a tag team, or she goes with them and maybe, I don't know, Sasha Banks shows back up, but we will see.
Who's that?
So much to talk about left. Guys, get in your super chats and your humper chats if you have anything that you want to talk about, and leave a thumbs up on this video. Before we dive into the CM Punk promo, we are also going to remind you to subscribe to FightfulSelect.com, where we were, I think we've slowed down now, but we had CM Punk updates like every day on there for you. Nobody's been better to Fightful business than that guy for all reasons under the sun. CM Punk has helped us out a lot here at Fightful Select. So head on over there and subscribe if you're interested. A lot more than that, though. The Bryan Danielson news that Sean was alluding to earlier. 2024 is going to be an enormous contract year with some major names on the market, including Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Becky, and Seth. There's a whole lot of people that could move, shake, and shimmy from one side to the other, and it pendulum swings both ways, my friend. So an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. And also of note, All In is coming up. Drew is Scottish, Becky is Irish. There are some people that might want that All In experience. So very, very cool as things continue to trickle down the road here, closing out the year. But Meet Normus saying, "Sup, partners? May Gabagool be with you and with your spirit, Meet Normus." We always appreciate that. So let's dive into the CM Punk promo. I was very loud on my own channel, on social media, about how I thought it was really, 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 really dumb on Monday to have someone sit through 3 hours of Raw. Say as a casual fan that is watching because CM Punk came back. To sit through 3 hours of Raw to hear 5 minutes of CM Punk speaking at the end of the episode and saying nothing. And there were people who agreed with me. And there were people who were like, "Don't you see what's happening? He's going to become corporate Punk." And this was the first step of that. And I was like, no, I think it was just a mediocre promo. And you're insinuating a lot off of one promo for the creative that's around the corner for this guy. That felt like a major, major reach. But I thought that was kind of a really, really, really bad idea, because that does not make people want to stick around.
Right.
What we saw tonight was a lot more of what CM Punk fans want to see. The guys and gals that stopped watching when he left and want to come back, or weren't watching AEW and were always watching WWE or whatever, got a lot more out of CM Punk tonight than they got last Monday. So that being said, he didn't say very much. He said a lot, but he also didn't say very much. And what I mean by that is, we were never going to get today an idea of like, my next feud is with this guy and this is why, and here's the direction things are going right now for CM Punk. But what we did get was a really, really good, hey, I'm putting the whole roster on notice promo. So I'm going to run it down real quick and then I'll get your thoughts, Alex. But I thought this was a much, much, much better promo overall. What were your thoughts just from like an overall perspective?
Like you mentioned, a lot of running around the bush with the words, through a single jab, which kind of felt on deaf ears by the crowd. There was like no reaction, kind of, maybe like 3 people in the front I saw. Other than that, it was better, but I'm going to let you break it down for everyone. And then I think you want to drag it. And you said you wanted to break down, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I don't want to take too much time from you from that. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're all good. So I thought this was much stronger. We start off with something that started to make me a little nervous, because it felt like he was doing the Cena thing of like, "Oh, do you want me here on SmackDown? Yay! Do you want me there on Raw? Boo!" Like, felt very, very Cena-y. And I was like, please do not continue to go this route. And then he says, y'all know the guy who says, "What do you want to talk about?" Well, I'm here to bring back spicy CM Punk. I think he targeted me specifically. He was like, "Kate, I know you didn't like my promo last Monday. I'm bringing back spicy CM Punk for you. All right. And you don't get to complain on the internet anymore about me, because I'm your favorite wrestler." So I love this. Like, what do you guys want to talk about? No, it's more like, who do you guys want to talk about? And he lays out what could be like 5 or 6 feuds, which I think would be great, but doesn't set up any specific one, which is good. and kind of puts over all three brands in the process, which is fantastic. So you get him taking a nice shot at Roman Reigns, saying some people around here are more like some people that aren't around here very much like Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that because he's a face, but he's not a cowardly face, and he should be going after the top guy in the company right away. This is CM Punk we're talking about. This is not an NXT call-up. No offense to anybody from NXT. This is CM Punk, the biggest mover and shaker on the market. He should be going for Roman Reigns first and immediately. And he makes the tribal chief connection, which is something that I thought of last week as well, of Paul Heyman has managed Roman Reigns to the most successful title reign ever, Brock Lesnar to the second most successful title reign ever, and CM Punk to the third most successful title reign ever.
Don't forget Ryback.
And Ryback to Ryback. And Curtis Axel to Curtis Axel. But the point being, there is the OG Tribal Chief CM Punk connection here, the OG Wise Man connection here. I love that he called that out because that's immediately a table setter. And I loved that. I love that he called him out because CM Punk was a defending champion in his 435-day reign or whatever it was, over and over and over again. Brock's reign was not that.
Right.
Roman Reigns' reign is not that. I'm not saying every reign has to look like that, but if you're CM Punk and you're coming back in here, his legacy is like, hey, remember when I was mentally, emotionally, and physically broken and I was still defending my title all the time? That's a great place to come back in. So I loved that. He also references the rest of the bloodline, and he's like, this guy's got like a million cousins, and there are all these Samoans coming after people. I gotta dug that too, because there are people, Jacob Fatu, Lance Anoa'i, like that we haven't even seen in WWE, but they still exist in wrestling, which is a pretty cool nod to really his legacy. He references his past with Randy Orton and that they got along enough on Monday. Randy gave him a big wave and a smile, right? But that they've got a history there too. If you remember back to forever ago, Randy Orton just took the title from CM Punk for no reason when he was World Heavyweight Champ on SmackDown the first time, pre-Pipe Bomb era. So a really nice callback to that as well. Orton is someone that I would love to see once one of these two guys turns heel, them going after each other. He says he thinks that he can trust LA Knight. And he kind of even did like LA Knight's and let the crowd eat it up. That's just like veteran pro wrestler stuff, letting the crowd get their shit in. Loved that. He said he thinks Kevin Owens and him might be too much alike. And this is the line that people were divided on. I am still divided on it, but he goes, I mean, it's 2023. You can't go randomly punching people in the face backstage, which Kevin Owens is, of course, doing in kayfabe, as CM Punk very famously did in real life. And I know people have split opinions on it, but kind of also can't have it both ways. I can't come on here and say your first promo back was a stinker. It was bland. It was boring. It was vanilla. It sucked. And then when you do something that's edgy, me be like, no, that's too edgy. I don't like it because what he did was assault a coworker. And I know there's a lot of people that say like, oh, that happens all the time in wrestling. I don't think it should happen all the time in wrestling. I don't think Andrade should do it. I don't think Eddie Kingston should scuffle with anybody. I don't think anybody should be doing that because you're adults and you're professionals. And I know it happens in sports all the time. Yep. I would argue in wrestling, it's actually more important because your opponent's supposed to trust you with their freaking life every time you step in the ring. So even if that is commonplace, I think that's bullshit that it's commonplace and the standard should change, not the behavior should swing the other way. So let's actually pause there and we'll dive into the rest of them because I had the most controversial line, and that already is calling out 4 people. That calls out Roman, that calls out Randy, that calls in LA Knight more than out LA Knight, and Kevin Owens. What were your thoughts on this first half?
I thought it was fine. He's establishing who he is as a character and a person. He's establishing his feuds as to like who he would like to step up to. You could already tell he's lining himself up to be in line with the top guys. You know, he's not there to, you know, like he was in AEW where he talked about the younger generation, what he wanted to do with it. He's just there to work with the older dudes, which is fine with me. I thought it was okay. Like I wasn't wowed by it. It was a normal promo to me. Like, cool. Like, this is what we were waiting. We want to know what you're gonna do and who you're talking about and who you wanna face. You know.
I agree, and I think what's funny is this promo feels like the one that we should have gotten last month.
Yes, agreed.
So that I don't mind because this is just, it's essentially the same idea happening on a Friday instead of a Monday.
Correct.
I still think this is him at, I was going to say 3/4 strength, but because I'm me and I make childish jokes, I'll say 69% strength.
And she is frozen.
I'm back. Am I back?
And she is back.
That's what's up.
Back from your commercial break.
To your point about him not saying he's there to work with the younger guys, I think it's because of the season we're headed into. Like, I think you might have heard younger guys' names in the mix if we weren't heading into, like, Royal Rumble's not that far away all of a sudden, right? And we're going into the main event season, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I think you might have heard some of those younger names in the mix if we weren't headed into, like, prime
season, of course. Yeah, we're heading into our, and listen, I'm okay with that. I'm okay who like, if he wants to go after the, you know, like someone like Solo Sikoa or whatever, like, I think that's cool too. I mean, we just saw John Cena have some hell of matches with Solo, like career making matches with Solo. So can't CM Punk do that? Hopefully. Sure. The difference between Cena and him is that Punk is very, very, very injury prone. We saw him every single time in AEW kind of like have a little tweak here and there. So for God's sake, yeah, I hope that he just stays healthy. I do want to say this. The one line that gets me and riles me up and just really grinds my gears, because I want to stay into, you got someone like Corporate Man Punk who's PG rated now, you know, which is cool with me. Talking about being home. Like, bro, 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, you were blasting them. Maybe a month ago. Like, we got receipts. Like, it doesn't sit well with me, guys. This is week number 2 where I still feel the same, and I still feel the same cringe when he's talking like that. I come from a different era, okay? If you trash talk someone and you trash all day, and then you go right back to that place and you're like, I'm home, and you're bootlicking, you know, there's a word for that. So, like, that's the only thing that got me from the whole promo. That I rubbed some people the wrong because I said I'm home. I'm proud to be home. I'm like, oh,
well,
God,
yeah. No, that's how I felt last week, and I did feel that way at the top of this promo. But once he started getting into who he's actually going to fight, that's kind of where I was like, let's settle in. Like that this middle part into the ending, I was in on. But I agree with you where that all reads really hollow because it wasn't that long ago that he was talking ass on this program.
I'm okay with mending fences and doing it, but like, dude, you literally, I have a video of you.
Yeah,
saved in my phone.
I've got several, right? Like, I've got plenty of there's plenty of receipts, and I think Seth Rollins is going to call them all out. Dave from the Pro Wrestling Podcast, if you guys want like the most fun watch along for SmackDown that you could possibly do, join this guy. He's got some really fun stuff going on, but he said 69. That's the funny number. It is. It's the funny sex number as opposed to.
Whoa, you said the S word on stream.
I did.
I'm going to church.
Don't send the prawn bots after me. Tom LaValle saying Danielson digging up all the clams and mutilating cattle. The absolute nerve of that guy. Look, I'm vegan, okay? Be kind to animals. Bryan Danielson. Can you believe this? Okay, let's dig into the second half of this because there's more to call out. He calls out JBL, which is really fun because they've had a history too, who is on commentary this whole night. And then he gets into Seth Rollins, which I really liked this because this is the one I think people are salivating for the most. He says that he's not even the man of his own household, which was good. And then he talks about the theme song. And this is what is good about Punk. Like, he just lets the crowd sing it. He is really, really good about letting moments like that breathe. And not everybody is. Some people like have the next line in their head and then they get tripped up by that. Like, when it comes to the crowd connection piece of this is the part that CM Punk is great at. And he let the LA Knight thing happen. He let the Seth Rollins thing happen. Right now, Punk and Seth are both baby faces. So who knows how that's going to shake out, right? So I really, really liked that. But then Punk kind of says as we close out here, that he's going to find out where he will sign on whether it'll be Raw or SmackDown on Monday night. And he even
Mhm.
teased NXT a little bit. And with Deadline tomorrow, that's a little interesting. Will he pop up there? We'll see. But he says there's a lot of talk about finishing stories around here. He is going to put pen to paper. He's here to finish what he started, and that is main eventing WrestleMania. So he's calling out the WrestleMania main event, whatever that's going to look like. I'm going to hit all 3 backstage interactions in a row here. Then he drops the mic and does like the home run thing, which that I actually thought was pretty lame. I'm not going to lie. Like, don't pat yourself on the back for a promo. That's weird. But some good stuff closing out that promo. I think we knew we're heading toward the WrestleMania main event, but I would love to hear the chat thoughts on this too. If you can super chat or humper chat about it. Who do you think Punk faces? Now, I think at WrestleMania, it sounds like he's entering the Royal Rumble. We're going to talk about that in a second. But if Stone Cold is healthy, you got to do the dream match, right? I mean, that's
you want to see that
thing. Do I? Yes, that is as a CM Punk diehard fan. That is the one thing that when he left,
how do you see
WWE,
that going with? I mean, Stone Cold. He's last time we saw him in the ring was a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, he took a bump on the freaking concrete. Like,
right. So, what are your thoughts?
I think if they're honestly healthy, can honestly put a good match together, do it. If you can only half-ass it, don't do it. Because it's too. The expectations are there's going to be people that complain about it no matter what, and there's going to be people that love it no matter what. Almost like this is a very different thing, but like almost like Okada and Danielson, where it was like, I remember Danielson saying in the presser when I think it was my question, he was like, we could have taken a shit out there and people would have been cheering for it. Like, It was that it was happening, that he was like, it almost didn't matter what happened next. Danielson obviously broke his arm in that match, poor guy. But there's going to be people who the expectations are so high, no matter what they do, it falls short. And then there's people that are just going to be so blown away by the moment, it doesn't matter. I say if you can put an honest to God, good, very good effort to great effort forward, go for it. If you can't, don't do it. But Royal Rumble, that's a title thing, right? Like, that's not a Stone Cold thing. And it sounds like he's entering for that. So if you can, I would say do the Stone Cold thing if it's possible. Other than that, man, I feel like it's him and Seth is the story to tell.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird. I'd rather not see Stone Cold in the ring like that. It has to be like a straight up street fight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly do that. A Philly street fight. I mean, all day.
Yeah.
Matthew England saying, what was Punk saying 3 to 4 weeks ago? I missed it. I don't know. I can't remember like the last shots that he took. I don't know if you remember them, but I remember him just more recently than not recently saying something.
He was online, kind of like,
posting
jabs.
Things.
Posting things like, you guys, you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. I'm sorry. That's just, unfortunately, for a lot of people out there that might not agree with me, that's just the way I see things, unless, I don't know, whatever. If time would have passed by and he would be like, all right, cool. But that was really close.
Well, that's where I was frustrated with the, like, I'm home, I've changed stuff. I'm like, okay, how have you changed? Tell us. Like, you know what I mean? You can't just kind of come out there.
You're in bed with the dude that sent you your paperwork while you were at your wedding.
Well, I think the excuse
I know that was 9 years ago.
Well, and it's Triple H's baby more now, right?
Yeah,
like Vince
So you're working under him, the same guy, and on top of that, you still were talking trash. Like, I don't know, man. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm just, boy, oh boy.
No, I rang hollow. When he said I'm home, I'm like, well, yeah, you got fired from the other one. So, like, this is I'm home by default is a weird thing.
Yeah.
Triple H's sledgehammer. Well, hello, it's an honor to have you here, to be honest. Saying, Kate, better siding, Punk or Clam Champ Nigel? Look, this is a tough one. You're talking 2 Ring of Honor legends. Better for making money, probably Punk. Better for the environment. Better for the endangered clams. Better for mollusks everywhere. Better with raising awareness about the dangers of Bryan Danielson, who's just going around finding anybody whenever he feels like. Save the clams.
Jesus Christ.
Some things, you know what? I said it on Fightful Select. I'll say it here again. Some things are bigger than wrestling. The clams are one of them. Okay?
Jesus Christ.
So much as I was
amen to that. Let's drink some water.
Right. That's what's let's drink some water. As much of a CM Punk gal as I've been, like, it's just clams are more important than wrestling. So that moves us on from the CM Punk talk. Sans, if you guys have more super chats or humper chats that you want to get in about it, let me just make sure that
Michael said I'm a cranky old man. You're right. I'm yelling at the clouds every day.
So am I, to be honest.
Corporate man, Punk.
Old man yells at cloud. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie.
PG rated bastard.
Did we
I do want to say thank you
to
everyone real quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I've been talking at the same time. Thank you to everyone for being here tonight, and thank you for sending over your humper chats and your super chats and hanging out with us on another beautiful Friday night here towards the end of the year. It's amazing that it's going to be almost 3 years that I've been here doing this with you, Kate. I love it. I hope that you don't fire me next week.
I make no promises, but I won't. All right, Ben, I can't remember if I said this. Punk is good business, kept all the possibilities in play. That's what the goal of the promo was. Like, let's keep all the possibilities on the table, and I think he accomplished that tonight. Some more Rampage Love 1LT photo saying, Riccabonzo, Daddy Magic, and Tony on Rampage was exclamation points. Ian Riccaboni, I've said it over and over again, is the best commentator that's currently going today. Sure. Particularly in the play-by-play role. And then, like, if you got to see anything that him and Nigel have done together, we'll fall off your chair laughing. Fall off your chair landing. So we get a backstage segment kind of quickly after this where Nick Aldis hands Punk a contract for SmackDown and Cody steps into the frame. We see, I'm going to go over all the backstage interactions. We have Punk running into Kevin Owens first, and he asks where Nick Aldis's locker room is, or if he's back in his locker room. Kevin Owens is like, no. And they just kind of part ways. And I love Kevin Owens is the best. You've got Nick Aldis handing Punk a contract for SmackDown and Cody stepping into frame. Cody saying, it sounded like for Punk to finish his story, he's going to need to win Royal Rumble. Story. Finish story. And then Cody's like, that's interesting. Nice to have you back. And the two of them shake hands. So I think at least two of your final four are sitting right there for Royal Rumble.
Oh, most definitely.
And we've got Randy Orton backstage, LA Knight coming into frame, Punk walking into frame, and Punk wishing them good luck. Orton asking Knight if he was ready for tonight, and LA Knight said, yeah.
Maybe.
He said, sure. But before we get to that main event, we have Asuka and Charlotte. We do have a couple of chats on that. Sean's going to work hard to get an update on what's going on with her, but Will saying, I hope Charlotte is okay. If they can't do Bianca and Charlotte at Mania, I would call Mercedes and pay her what she wants and do Bianca versus Mercedes 2 at Mania. I would actually go a different direction and probably do something with, we have to see what happens with Damage Control, I guess, but I feel like where initially Bianca was in a position where she needed Mercedes to make her a star, Bianca now is a star and can make other people. So what that looks like, I think, is TBD. Would not sneeze at Bianca versus Mercedes 2, but if you're going to bring Mercedes back, I think you really want her and Bayley on the same side doing a tag run, or you want to be able to do that four corners match while all four of them are there. I know that's if Charlotte is healthy. Now we will see what's to come.
The house is getting full fast, huh?
It is.
Just bring it
on both sides. Which is
I
wild.
tell this to a lot of people: like the more people you bring back and in, the less time someone's getting on TV, and the more you're going to see being crushed down. It sucks, but
that's not true. Like what we've seen so far from Triple H is the opposite, where people who hadn't been getting used for the women's side, at least, like
right. Yes.
Finally, there's been tag belts in no tag division. We're finally getting that, and even on the men's side, we're getting a realistic tag division. So I think that Triple H has done a good job of making that not be the case. Where that comes into play, in my opinion, is like Braun Breaker does not need to be in NXT anymore. Carmelo Hayes doesn't really need to be, but could be for story reasons.
Sure.
Tyler Bate, I think, is on his way up, which is good. But, I think Triple H has done a good job of reigniting the chessboard where people are being used better, which is a credit to him. But we're going to see a lot happening in 2024.
Yeah.
So we will see. But we do get this match, which unfortunately ends in a Charlotte injury. I don't know what the initial booking was or if they had to call an audible here, but Charlotte was limping around and goes for a figure 8. But Bayley appears out of nowhere and pulls Charlotte away from Asuka, which is an interesting piece of storytelling here. Charlotte elbows Bayley, but as a result, Asuka rolls up Charlotte for the win. Now, This match was 621. I have a hard time believing that they would give this 621 if Charlotte wasn't seriously injured. Because it was the only women's match. It's a WrestleMania rematch. It's one of the most storied women's rivalries that they have. This is a heartbreaker if Charlotte is injured seriously. So we send the best healing thoughts to her.
Yes,
this is a tough time of year also to get injured just in general. Like there's never a good time to get injured, but like this is heading into their key season. So if this is a multi-month thing or requires surgery, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because she, regardless of what you think of like her booking or her selling or any of that, she is bell to bell one of the best, if not the best women's wrestler in the ring of all time. So not a ton of thoughts on this match, though. Bayley still coming down, making her presence known, I think is a good thing. But what were your thoughts? Any of them?
No, I agree with you. I think it would have gone a little bit longer. It sucks that she got injured. Hopefully, again, it's just something like, day to day or week to week, something that keeps her in the game. But prayers out to her. I like the stuff that they're continuing to do with these women. I like the outside of the ring stuff that they're doing with Damage Control. The inside is starting to feel a little bit repetitive inside of the ring. So I'm hoping that somehow it matches back up because I really, the work inside the ring is incredible, but I'm really intrigued in the drama that's unfolding with these ladies. I'm into it, man. I grew up, watching novelas, with my mom and dad, soap operas. So 7 p.m. came on, you turn on Telemundo, and there we go.
Now you got it right here on Smackdown. But I agree with you. And part of it, I think, has been we've seen every permutation of these matches before. Yes. And we also already saw Bianca feuding with Damage Control. So you take Charlotte out of this gets a little bit rougher. But that brings us to our main event. Now, this was a good match. I think this match might have gotten more time because of what happened in the women's match. I have a feeling CM Punk might have gotten over a couple minutes, so they might have actually gotten... I think considering what they had in a long CM Punk promo and an abbreviated women's match and a tag match to close this out, I think it actually ended up pacing itself pretty well to end it, considering everything they were up against. But you have a solid little tag match here with Orton and LA Knight coming out with the victory. You've got Orton setting up for an RKO, but Solo Sikoa breaking that up and teasing a Samoan spike, but Knight cutting off that with a DDT, him going for the BFT on Jimmy, but Orton hitting the RKO and saying, "It is my night, baby. Let's go." This is his for the win. Knight and Orton pose in separate corners on the end of the show. Now, what's interesting here is Jimmy and Solo aren't really clicking right now. So I don't know what this means for dissension within the bloodline. This could just be a fun match to close out the show with, and you want Randy Orton to look super strong, and pairing him with the most over other guy on the roster, I think is a really, really good thing. So, I think this was a perfectly suitable way to end the night. You end it with your returning superstar hitting an RKO and your most over babyface against your most hated heels in the bloodline, right? That just makes wrestling sense as a way to close out the show, especially when you had Punk at the top of the hour to not lose time like you did last Monday. Yep. Your thoughts on our main event here?
Same. I thought it was just that. I mean, I want to see if Randy is going to start showing a little bit of that gray area. Mm-hmm. I always feel when he's in the ring with someone, like he's ready to strike them which is the great thing about his character and who he is and how he plays it. He has a smirk look in his face all the time, so I want to see where this progresses. I want to see if he's going to probably get into a feud with someone like an LA Knight. Like I'd really want to see that.
It's the timing
Right.
that's going to be interesting for this, because if when he turns heel,
yeah,
I think you let him ride this out for a little bit. Enjoy
yes,
this
of
little baby
course,
face,
yeah.
daddy's home thing. But Randy Orton's money is as a heel, so
And they're setting up a lot of feuds for Mr. Part-Time Roman Reigns, who is like, you're starting to see people like they're frustrated. They want to go after this championship that's just being held hostage right now, and no one's seeing on television. So I think that's also pretty cool. The uncertainty of who's going to go after it and why they're going after it. Do you feel like with Randy saying like, daddy's back and he wants to go after the belt, that kind of now pushes LA Knight a little bit further back after his match with Roman?
No, I think LA Knight isn't getting another shot at Roman, and this is just to.
Okay.
I think LA Knight's buying time until you get into New Year, into Rumble season. I think he's going to feud with Logan Paul, and I think he'll take the belt from Logan Paul.
You know what?
A nice program to get there.
I'll be completely honest. I blurred that out of my mind. It's so crazy that you brought that back, because I completely
That's the beauty of the tournament, though. You get to think about the U.S. title without thinking about Logan Paul, which is a good day for me. So I will take it. Some more chats to round us out before we get out of here. Again, stay tuned to FightfulSelect.com. We have a ton of wrestling coming up this weekend. We've got NXT Deadline tomorrow, which Alex Pulaski and I will be reviewing. We've got the Collision Crew as well. You're going to have Cresta and Iridian hosting that, and Final Resolution, which I was initially hoping to go to, but I can't. But features some really, really, really fun matches and a really cool send-off to the Impact era as we head into the TNA era.
Yeah.
Very, very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. There's some good Tekker wrestling on that, including Zack Sabre Jr. and Josh Alexander being on the same side of things. And Buddy, I want to see that tag team so bad. Can't wait to watch that match back. But some more chats here. Will saying, I like the fact Mia and Zelina Vega jumped Damage Control because they did the same before Survivor Series. Yes, thanks for not acting like fans. We are not dummies. Yeah. No, we're fans. We're actual fans of this. And with Punk being my favorites, like, I can admit when he has a bad promo, and I can admit when he has a really good promo that doesn't say very much. Like, that's not difficult for me to do in my objective wrestling analyst self here. But yes, Mia and Zelina should be pissed. They got jumped by Damage Control so that they wouldn't have their spot at Survivor Series. So I like that. I like them with that continuity there. Agreed.
Get him.
Call Me Crazy saying that Punk could sign all three brands. He says he's here to make money after all. Now, under Vince, I would have thought that was true, but now we have solid authority figures, which is really refreshing, that are vying for their brands. Now, if he doesn't go to Raw, Adam Pearce sucks at his job because he just lost Randy Orton too. So I also think Punk is going to be on Raw. I think you want that even playing field. And also, we know Fox are not renewing their rights, right? So they're going to want to keep USA happy more than they want to keep Fox happy.
I can almost certainly guarantee you he's going to stay on Raw.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Handwriting's on the wall for that.
Big time.
Call Me Crazy also saying, do you think WWE has an interest in Andrade or Malachi Black? Aren't their contracts coming up? Hope Charlotte is okay. Probably. They're both really, really great talents. There's a lot to take into consideration right now in the wrestling landscape.
That's what I'm saying.
Both rosters are extremely full. There are a lot of backstage dynamics. Both of them obviously have wives that are back in WWE, so I'm sure there is personal interests vested there. But we'll see. We'll see. You know, it's going to be a crazy contract year. We'll also see if AEW wants them back. They've got some free agents that I'm sure they want to go after, and Drew McIntyre and Seth and Becky. So lots of possibilities on the horizon. But I do think WWE would have interest in them, because why wouldn't they? They're both fantastic.
And you have TKO now in the mix, like the company itself that will you know, they have integrated themselves when it comes to financials and things happening within the office, not the wrestling product, but the in-office work. So these people do have a say in now in what happens with financials because they got to keep people happy, So that's, I think Kate had mentioned it before, that when you have a dynamic like this, you have someone like a Drew McIntyre who's still sitting on a contract year with no
Sure.
talks about contracts. And that goes to show you that when there's a higher power now, it's not like the old school Vince McMahon days when you say, yeah, let's just renew them and do what we got to do. There's different dynamics here now.
Competition is good for wrestling.
Sure.
Well, that ends our post show, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. I know, and I blame Sean entirely for taking up so much time at the beginning of the show. So thanks for sticking around. I'm going to go watch some Rampage. I can't wait to watch that Danielson and Garcia match back so much. But Alex, before we get out of here, when can the good people find you?
You can find me on Threads, Alexis Cardoza, which is also Instagram, the same thing. You can find me on X until I get kicked out at _ Alexis Cardoza, which is right underneath me right now. I want you guys to go check out this week. There may be a little surprise on one of the shows that I happen to be producing called Wrestling with Freddie.
A little scoopsky over
there. These next couple of weeks are going to bring in some fun episodes, and there's 2 big ones that I was able to snatch. So one of them might have been today on Smackdown.
Scoopsky Cardoza over there.
Scoopster Cardoza. There it is. Yes, this is Scoopster Cardoza from Fightful.
That's right. You could like the typewriter keyboard effect. That
yeah, pretty much.
Hey, you can find me on commentary at Excite Wrestling tomorrow at twitch.tv/Excite Wrestling with an X, because this is wrestling. We don't use the letter E. Looking very, very forward to getting on that card. I'm so happy to report that Mike Skyros finally lost the championship tonight. I can't wait to see his cowardly little butt tomorrow, but looking very forward to that. And that will be followed by NXT. We'll be watching Deadline, and Alex Pulaski and I will have the post show for you for that. Stay tuned to Fightful, because we also have Collision. We also have Final Resolution. We have so much happening. Enjoy wrestling. Have a wonderful and safe wrestling weekend. Stay safe, those of you who are facing weather now. It's crazy. Full on winter time. Have a wonderful wrestling. Happy Hanukkah to our Jewish friends as well.
Word.
We're out of here.